Hey everybody, Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology here to give you an update on the full moon in Pisces and 2 weeks ahead, like I normally do. I really like following the moon cycles and doing it that way. It feels good, it feels right for me, but I'm a Cancer rising. And this is why I encourage you to always check your own chart, know your rising sign, and you'll know where anything, the theme of any transit will be in your life if you learn the houses. It's amazing. Um, Speaking of that, I'm building a class. So perhaps you will want to dive into it with me. Okay, so today is September 9th when I'm recording this. It's 11:43 in the central US. And in just a few hours, Mercury will go retrograde in Libra. So let's tackle that first. I think that's a good idea. Mercury retrograde gets a bad rap, as always. Mercury is how we think, how we communicate, how we process data, how we disseminate information. It is the planet that governs information and commerce, even. Mercury is a really, really interesting planet to dive into. And Mercury, when it's retrograde, there are several different camps in astrology, and one is that it goes more internal. And I think I've definitely experienced the internal Mercury retrograde before, where you can communicate with your own intuition easily. You may not be as quick to speak things out loud. You may spend a little more time thinking about things before you talk about them. But the other way that this Mercury retrograde or any can come out is a revisitation. You revisit a specific area of the zodiac. It looks like it's revisiting an area in the sky, and it is in our sky. Mercury doesn't actually go backwards in space. I'm sure most of you know that. I don't know if I even thought about it before I started learning astrology. So, a retrograde, it does actually retrace steps in the zodiac, degrees of the zodiac. So, what sign are we talking about? Libra, which is relationships, cooperation, how we speak to one another, what is fair, what is just. It's the balance of things. And so it's with Libra being ruled by Venus, I really feel like this is a reevaluation or a recalibration in regards to how we relate to other people. Mercury retrograde will be opposite to Jupiter in Aries for quite a while. It's like 10 days, starting when it stations retrograde tonight. It's at 8 degrees and Jupiter's at 5 degrees. So it's not very far apart from being exactly opposite. And Jupiter in Aries has been pushing us towards independence and finding out what is our authentic self, and really thinking in regards of perhaps competition, perhaps um, going out on our own to do things, but also autonomy and uh, basically the right to live, the right to be here. That is Aries in general. Aries is the start of things. And so Jupiter, which is truth and expansion, pushes that into this, very big realm. But it's retrograde, Jupiter is. And so, again, is that internal expansion? Are we thinking about what is our truth internally? Is it just retracing what we've already done in Aries? For me, it is. I don't know about for you. But the fact that both Mercury and Jupiter will be retrograde opposing each other indicates a complete redoing of something, or a complete revisitation to something. And then when we get into the full moon in Pisces, we're dealing with not only a full moon, but a Mercury retrograde. And that is tomorrow, the full moon in Pisces, September 10th, in the central US where I am. It will be around 5 a.m. that the full moon is exact. So let's talk about but before I leave Mercury, Mercury will retrograde back into Virgo at some point. And I will go over that. I'll give you some exact dates after I get through the nature of what it all sort of means, the theme of it. So, with the full moon in Pisces, it's a culmination always. A full moon is always a time when things complete or come to a head or come to a climax, and a light is shown onto it. Okay, so where did it start? It started in Virgo. The new moon was in Virgo and it was square Mars. I'll refer to my last video if you're unsure about what that means. But I'll give you a quick synopsis. It's focus, it's discernment, it's pruning, to help whatever in your life you want to flourish. You got to get rid of some things, some dead weight, right? And Virgo time in the northern hemisphere is when leaves begin to change and things of that nature. So we see we're transitioning. It's a transition time. Um, we could have gotten very logical, very in our heads during this moon phase to begin with. Maybe made a lot of plans, a lot of lists, decided we needed to keep this or get rid of this. Well, the full moon in Pisces helps you let go. It makes so much sense. Pisces is spirituality. It is the need to disconnect, but to connect, you're not disconnecting to just be disconnected. You're disconnecting from reality to be connected to spirituality in Pisces. It can be escapist though. Drug addiction and going overboard with the escapism is a Pisces thing. But when we look more in terms of the healthy, kind of aligned Pisces, it is the kind that needs to connect to intuition, spirituality. It's very mystical, very magical. And it's a time for letting go. It's a time for endings and in a very nice kind of, it just dissolves away. Pisces is mutable water. So, which is why we can sort of disconnect and zone out from reality. It is just this slow dissolving, slowly being engulfed by the fog, right? So it also can rule confusion. Let's not get so far ahead of ourselves and think it's just really lighthearted. There can be confusion with Pisces moments, disillusionment, illusion, people trying to pull the wool over your eyes. That's an old saying. So, you know, every sign it's like two sides to every coin. That's every sign. There is a yin and a yang with it. Um, and I think the part to kind of keep an eye on is going to be the confusion and the disconnection in an unhealthy way, the escapism, try to stay grounded. That's why it's good to drive the boat, per se, which we can if we follow astrology. We can steer the helm of our boat towards meditation and magic and creativity and things of that nature. So, spiritual connection, intuition. There will be lots of synchronicities during this. I'm already experiencing some myself. And just because the moon wasn't in Pisces yet does not matter. I'm already experiencing synchronicities like people that you have connections to that you have no reason to have brought up that connection, but you did for some reason, and you find out they're connected to this person. It's so interesting. So watch for those things. Follow the rabbits down the holes, right? Now there's also the fact that this full moon in Pisces is sextile to Uranus. Sextiles are opportunity. Okay, so there's two, I mean, there's more, but definitely two good aspects. Trine, a trine is a flowing aspect, the two are supporting each other. A sextile is an opportunity, but both still supporting each other. So a sextile to Uranus, which is upheaval and change. Okay, so if the full moon in Pisces is like, let go, listen to your spirit, connect with that higher part of yourself. And also, it's time to change some things. And this is going to help you do it. Uranus is freedom, upheaval, unexpected events. So maybe an unexpected event comes in, and that's why the synchronicities will be like at the highest volume, okay? So Uranus is in Taurus changing things. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. It's related to our values. It's really stubborn, and I don't mean that like all Tauruses are stubborn. I mean that's the nature of what Taurus can represent. It's fixed. It doesn't move. And when you're talking about fixed earth, it's a giant rock or the side of a cliff. You're not going to make much progress pushing against it, right? But Uranus can. Uranus is like lightning. Uranus is an earthquake. Uranus shakes it all up, which means that the things that maybe used to make us comfortable don't anymore. The things that used to bring us comfort. Perhaps the things that we used to value, we'll keep doing it, even if we've changed until something jerks us out of it. And so this is a great opportunity to shift your life if you have that desire, if you're like, yeah, let's do it, let's shift. Um, so there's also the fact that the nodes of the moon, the south node and the north node, are connected to this full moon as well. It's very karmic. The south node's in Scorpio. And so even that is representative of letting go, especially of situations that disempower us, or maybe situations that it's fixed water. So trauma that we just stuff down deep, that could be brought up during moments like these. And the moon is trine the south node, and the south node is sextile the sun in Virgo. And so, yeah, we've got this mystical rectangle. Let me show you. It's pretty cool looking. So I don't know, why not just show you? Let's see, let's get full moon and we're gonna share our screen here. Share screen. See the blue rectangle? Woo! Mystical rectangle. What's coming in? In fact, the only and so actually, I probably should have shared this at the beginning so that you could see how the moon is trine to the south node, the sun is trine to Uranus, and then we have sextiles here. That's what a sextile looks like. So when you have all of them together, it creates a really nice mystical rectangle. And if it were just a little bit of a different degree, we may even have the mystical envelope. That's what I call it. So if you've got anything at 14 through, let's say, 20 of Capricorn, it's making a mystical envelope for you. Either way, I associate these with messages, okay? And so we can also look to the Capricorn area to how do we open this message, right? Look to the Capricorn in your chart. That's how I do my aspects, and looking at those is really cool. So then the other part of what's going on during this full moon is that we've got Uranus square Saturn, and it's coming into its closest last square around September 23rd. This is the part that may be tough, but Saturn in Aquarius is restructuring our future, innovating our structures, maybe even what groups we belong to, how we belong to these groups, governments, the way society works together. That's all Saturn. It's rules. It's the wall. Uranus is freedom and change and upheaval. Those two things are just pulling on each other. Okay, in our own lives and in the greater macrocosm of whatever. So the really nice thing is that, oh, well, we've got some good, you know, supportive stuff to help us through that. I love it. We get to be helped through it with the mystical rectangle. It's so great. Okay. So we're gonna go through the next couple of weeks, and I'm gonna do this one a little different. I'm not doing the transits. But the rising signs, I'm gonna take the advice of a commenter on my YouTube. I listen to you guys, and I'm gonna do separate rising sign videos. I think it might be more helpful. We'll do a general full moon, um, and looking ahead, and then we will do the rising signs so that you guys can just click on it. It won't be so hard. All right. So we're going to go ahead. Full moon, really nice. We've got Mercury opposing Jupiter. Mercury's retrograde. And now let's move into, I'm going to set this to Aries rising now. I'm sorry, but it's better to show you guys how that works. That way we don't muddle it up and things just keep changing. Okay, so I'm also going to pull up my notes. There's a lot happening in September. I mean, like a lot. So I've got to pull up my notes. Sometimes I sound like a valley girl. I did live in San Diego, California for a while, so y'all have to forgive me. I also lived on the coast of North Carolina, dreams of the fact that I was a surfer girl and stuff like that. So here we are. All right. So are you kidding me? Do you know that Mac does the two desktop things? Like that is, can we move this to desktop two? How does that work? This is not easy. I don't even know how the video looks right now. Desktop one. There we go. My goodness. Forgive me. Lord. September 10th, full moon in Pisces. Supportive, like I said, now that I've, you know, gotten confused myself. September 11th is a Sunday. The moon will be in Aries. And we got Aries rising on the chart. So let's look at it. Moon Jupiter. Oh, that's great. So Sunday also has some really nice um feels about it. Moon Jupiter is always really expansive emotions. However, it is Aries, right? So we might see some blowups. Why? It's opposite Mercury retrograde in Libra. S Just nice to keep that in mind. People, relationships may be strange right now. I could see there being arguments on Sunday. If you're tuned in, it's a little easier to kind of, "I'm gonna let that one go." Just keep that in mind for Sunday, September 11th. Um, okay. Moon's still in Aries, Monday, September 12th. Not really making I will say it hits Chiron on Monday, and Chiron is the wounded healer, and we can have sensitive moments when moon hits Chiron. It's very brief. The moon is it moves very fast, so it can be very brief. Um, but it could also be really full of healing during that moment. So that's Monday's biggest transit, I think, especially considering the rest of them are still sticking there. Saturn, Uranus will be square throughout the rest of the fall. The nodes are gonna be in Scorpio and Taurus throughout the rest of the fall. Mars is gonna be in Gemini for the next 6 months, okay? So all we're looking at now is how these things are going to aspect each other. So the moon's gonna be the biggest thing that changes right now. Mars is moving really slow. Mercury's moving really slow. All right, September 13th, we got the moon moving into Taurus. Worth noting, this is Tuesday. Well, no, it's not. It's overnight. It squares Pluto. But I mean, I don't think that's most of the people that watch me will be sleeping, so it'll be fine. Um, looking, what have we got here? So the moon's in Taurus, Tuesday, September 13th. Mercury's still at 8 degrees of Libra. I think the best thing about moon and Taurus coming through is going to be the moon trine Venus. And that happens at least Central Time. It really starts around it's within or around 9 or 10. So that evening, Tuesday evening, could be really nice with Moon trine Venus. Venus always feels like this really nice, sweet, healing balm. Uh, all right. That means the next day, Wednesday, September 14th, is going to be Moon nodes and Uranus. Okay. So this will probably pick up a little bit of the theme from the full moon. We're looking at Wednesday, September 14th. Let me check my notes and make sure I'm not missing anything. No, and, um, it is pretty close still to the trine of Venus. Venus is approaching a trine to Uranus, which is going to shake things up, and I think it's gonna be really great opportunities-wise. So this could even start to bring that theme in. But Moon Uranus, again, the moon transits are very brief. Rick Levine says, maybe if you're in a mood, you're in a moon, because the moon just keeps moving. But this is a nice time to revisit, what was going on Saturday, and how you feel about it, and if your feelings have changed, let me put it that way. September 15th is when we start to get the mystical energy coming back in, and that is because the sun is approaching in opposition to Neptune. Uh, you can imagine it's gonna be a lot like what the full moon felt like, but it's hilarious. I think it's so great. What is so great about this? And why is it hilarious? It's hilarious because just before we have the sun opposing Neptune exactly, the moon sextiles Neptune, trines Pluto, and then we've got the moon trine the sun just after this. So this is also Thursday is like we're making strides, okay? But then when Friday comes along, this is gonna be a Friday y'all wanna just, like, let go, probably. Sun is definitely opposing Neptune, and then at this point, the moon's in Gemini. Why does that matter? That is known as the third quarter square of the moon, and it's approaching on Friday. So while it might be nice to let go and disconnect, the moon approaching Mars at a T, it'll be at its T square, especially by sign, not exactly on Friday, but that can heighten things a little. Moon Mars can be emotional outbursts, and Gemini definitely talking about it, okay? But the moon and Mars are sextile Chiron, so if there's been something that's been bugging you and you feel hurt by, looks like Friday may be the day you decide to talk about it and you don't care damn the consequences because the sun's opposite Neptune and it doesn't matter if it all falls apart anyway. That's Friday the 16th feel. I love looking ahead because when I have gigs because 'cause I'm a musician, and when I have all gigs coming up and I'll see something going on like this, and I'm just like, "Okay, all right. Okay, what's gonna happen?" So let's look at Saturday. Saturday, the 17th is perhaps, one of the higher on my energy scales, and that is because it is the exact third quarter square of the moon with an exact Sun-Neptune opposition, so this is definitely an exact T square. A T square creates the need for action. The moon's here, T squared to the sun, opposing Neptune. You know what we don't have, and where there is sort of like this focus because nothing's there, is nothing at the very end of Sagittarius. And so, why I'm picking up on this, and this is going to be a really cool thing to think about if you were born during a certain time. Neptune was in Sagittarius for a generation of people. And that would have been my generation. I have Neptune at 27 Sagittarius. And anyone born in the late 70s, early 80s is going to have Neptune. And it may even have been back to, let's see here. Let me, whoops, no. Um, Oh gosh, I just accidentally pulled up Joanna's chart. I don't normally do that, but it's funny because I was just talking with my friend Joanna, and she's an herbalist and grows all her own stuff. Her and her husband are amazing. And she gave me a quote that's perfect for the full moon that I'm going to share. And I think it's perfect for even this T square while we're talking about it. But I was looking at the years. Neptune was in Sagittarius at these late degrees, 80, yeah, but, I mean, for the whole generation, Mars retrograde is gonna affect everyone with Neptune and Sag, but yeah, definitely early 80s. It left, Capr and went into Capricorn, by 84-ish, looks like. So, this T-square that's gonna happen on September 17th, um yeah, it's gonna affect everyone, so all the early '80s babies are gonna have to contend with this. And sorry for the digression, I guess I should say, but I had to point that out because that's exactly who may be leading the charge during this Mars retrograde and Gemini stuff. Neptune is spiritual connection, and especially Neptune close to the galactic center, which is what 27 Sag is, and that's where my Neptune is. This Sun opposition to Neptune on September 17th with the Moon in Gemini is going to activate this. So even if you are not a Neptune and Sag baby, if you have anything at late degrees of Sagittarius, people may be looking to you during this next weekend, September 17th, because you have some answers, right? Sagittarius is about knowing. Virgo is about discernment and getting really focused on the details. Gemini, no, Gemini is like, let me throw all of the details possible at you. And then Pisces is like, "Hey, I don't even care about any of it. Let's just let go." Sagittarius is like, "Well, I know. I can answer it. It's your truth." And Sagittarius is get a bad rap for knowing it all, right? So on September 17th, your truth comes into focus because that's the only thing that doesn't have a planet there. Whereas everything else may seem confusing, the integration of this whole moon cycle may be weird. There may be messaging or information that comes to light that we have a hard time processing and we just want to escape. But this is go into your tools, like, I mean, astrology, tarot, whatever. Go into your spiritual beliefs because Sagittarius is man's spiritual construct. That is what Sagittarius is. It's the knowledge that may be put in a book, whereas Pisces is the spiritual connection that no other human can have like you have with your spirit. Okay. So this day looks kind of like rough in a mutable sort of way, a really abstract sort of way, maybe like existential, if you will. It's the third quarter square of the moon is also known as crisis in consciousness. And this is why I say integration. This is a time for integrating everything since the new moon in Virgo. Spent a lot of time on that one, didn't I? Well, there's a reason, okay? And it's not just now that I'm seeing it, it's not just that, but on the same day, Saturday, September 17th, Mercury is almost exactly opposite Jupiter. So that's been building and building and building. And they're both retrograde. Jupiter, don't forget, is truth. Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. And Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. It's in Libra. So there may be new messages coming through our relationships that require us to go look at our truth about who we are and how not only do we fit into this relationship, but how does this relationship fit into my life? That's what's going on September 17th. And so it just gets like this, yeah, high energy rating from Mandy Ray. Okay. Okay. I am kind of thankful though for the sun opposing Neptune because that does make it a little easier to flow, let go, but I don't know. We'll see. I like to have some reports about that. Okay, what's going on? Um, Saturday the 18th. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sun trine Pluto. Okay, so I love the way that these things move, right? So we had all this crisis in consciousness and, how do we integrate this? Is this relationship working for me? Am I standing up for myself? Am I overpowering this relationship? Do we communicate? Blah, 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 blah. And then the sun trines Pluto, which is empowerment. So, we have to go through this door on Saturday, September 17th, in order to reach the empowerment on Sunday, September 18th. The moon's in Cancer, which is very emotional. So there may be some healing and caring for yourself going um, on Sunday. Now, on Monday, we got Venus trine Uranus. Yeah, this I get really excited about Venus trines to Uranus or Venus conjunctions to Uranus because I'm a big fan of Uranus. Wouldn't everyone love it if I started saying it like the other way? Anyway, this indicates a change in fortune. I mean, I'll just say it that way. That may be very simplistic, but Venus is a benefic. Venus is money and love. And Uranus is in Taurus, her domain. Don't forget. So this is Venus's domain where Uranus is. And Venus is talking to Uranus and saying, okay, all right. So yeah, it looks like you're switching some things up at my house, but I like it. I like it. In fact, I think this is going to help me work better, Venus and Virgo. Mercury retrograde's like, well, I guess if my partner doesn't like it, we're going to have to tell him about it. Okay, so I do personify the planets a lot. I think it makes it easier to understand the conversations going on between these things in our own lives, my values, and someone's over there changing up where my values live. So let me just take a look at the details. Let me pull out the blueprints. And, actually, this change looks good. In fact, I may be able to work better in my office. Okay. Now, at the same time, during that day, the moon is making a sextile to both Uranus and Venus. So I'm calling Monday, September 19th an extremely auspicious day. It looks really great. Um, and let's see, what time is that exactly? This is noon on Monday, September 19th that I've pulled up, but it looks like it'll be exact around 4:06 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, I would recommend with the moon in its own sign, Venus in Virgo, and like if you're trying to change something up or feel better about a change, this is a good day to do that. I mean, looks really good. Just don't forget that, Mercury is retrograde and the sun is trine Pluto. I'm just going to give this an overall, like this is getting an A, maybe not A plus, but an A rating of a day. Okay. September 20th, the moon is in Leo now. The sun is past its trine to Pluto. Venus is past its square to Uranus. So a lot of things have already shifted by this point, okay? The moon in Leo is going to square Uranus and oppose Saturn. So, I would say enjoy the Tuesday early Leo transit because it will trine Jupiter, and that's a good thing. Sure, I like that. September 20. Oh, that's overnight. So, yeah, Tuesday, September 20th has kind of think it still carries over from the 19th, and there is a quick blip of the moon opposing Pluto as we wake up on Tuesday, September 20th. But after that, it's kind of benign. Nothing really goes on. The moon trines Jupiter overnight. Wednesday, though, is when we get into the opposition and squares to Uranus and Saturn. So this is also at the bendings of the moon. Anytime the moon transits right now, the middle degrees of a fixed sign, it's going to interact with the nodes, which is really karmic. So this could bring up inner child stuff. Am I having fun? Why not? What do I need to change? Change. Happens all the time, doesn't it? Okay, so Thursday, there could be, man, I'm going to say we're lucky, actually. These are happening overnight for most of the US, this blip of a moon wobble. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Did I miss Venus square Mars? I think I did. I was looking so closely at the moon. When does Venus square Mars? Oh, that's Saturday? Oh, that's Friday the 16th into Saturday, and I already gave that a high rating. So, yeah, Venus square Mars, that's the receptive qualities in us, and the masculine qualities, the penetrative qualities in us are not in agreement. They're in tension, and it has to do with wanting to get things very right, Venus and Virgo. Um, while Mars and Gemini is like, no, we need to try it all out, even if it's not the right thing to do. That's Friday, September 16th, Saturday, September 17th. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. I forgot about that one. Okay, we're back to Wednesday. We're lucky that we don't get the moon square to Uranus and opposition to Saturn. Very much it happens overnight, so that's nice. Yeah, maybe when we wake up, if anything, the morning of Thursday, September 22nd, the roughest, if you will. Okay, and then the biggest change we got going on into the next weekend is, there it is, the Mercury Sun Cazimi. Mercury is about to move into Virgo. Now, Mercury Cazimis are looked at as a good thing, an audience with the king. This is something we need to know and something that is going to help us, take care of whatever's been going on with the Mercury retrograde. So I'm going to look up the Sabian symbol for zero Libra and see if it might tell us a little bit about what message we're getting. Okay, Libra 1 is what you read. In a collection of perfect specimens of many biological forms, a butterfly displays the beauty of its wings, its body impaled by a fine dart. So this is the immortal archetypal reality that a perfect and dedicated life reveals. I'm trying to read to, this is symbolic of the transfiguration. At the moment of the transfiguration, Jesus, the Son of Man, was impaled by the ray of divine light, making him a son of God. It was at this very moment that he learned the crucifixion awaited him. Thus, the merely human individual is made sacred, becoming the pure embodiment of an archetype. I encourage you to go look at the Sabian symbol for Libra 1. So it seems as if we're getting some divine message with this Mercury Cazimi. Mark Jones, I think he said it was the dart of wisdom because a butterfly made perfect by a dart through it suggests a perfection through sacrifice, which is interesting. Because it's Libra, it's relationship. So there may be something that you go, okay, you know what? I will compromise here. That's a good I love Sabian symbols. If you don't ever look at those, they're totally worthy of giving your time. Really cool. So that's Friday, September 23rd is the exact Mercury Gazemi. It looks like we may be we may be dreaming this Mercury Cazimi because again, it's overnight in the central US. Um, but at the same time, Venus is now coming into an opposition with Neptune, which is very much dreams. And Mercury and Venus are in mutual reception at this Cazimi. So I think we may be revealed with exactly how we have to do something. Pay attention to your dreams during that moment. And what's really great is once we get this like hit of clarity on something, the very next day, September 24th, Mars starts to come into a trine with Saturn. Here we go. Let's see. That's Saturday, the 24th. Um, Moon's in Virgo, by the way. So I always pay attention to the moon transit through the last new moon sign before the next new moon. So pay attention as the moon moves into Virgo around the same time Mercury does. So we're looking at Friday, September 23rd, and Mercury moves into Virgo, moon moves into Virgo. We got a lot of Virgo going on Friday, September 23rd. So this really brings clarity and discernment. After all of the spiritual insight, we get some clarity and discernment. But then again, Venus is opposing Neptune. So it's an interesting mix of reality and mysticism and uh like divine messages. And this is also the sun's moved into Libra. It's the equinox. By the way, the equinox is exact. You can see this on an astrology chart. I'm going to draw your attention to it. The equinox is 0 degrees of Libra. So when Mercury and the sun come together in a Cazimi, that's the equinox. It's really cool. I'm going to go forward by minutes here. The minute that sun pops into Libra, it's equal day and night. There we go. September 22nd, it looks like 8:04 p.m. Yes, 8:04 p.m. in the central US. So the sun Cazimi is on the equinox point, which is really cool. Equal day and night when the seasons start to, when the sun starts to lose its light. So the dart of wisdom and that beautiful butterfly, that makes so much sense when I look at it that way. And then we get the moon moving into Virgo. So this all indicates transition time. I really believe that. But a sense of knowing what it means, a sense of being able to organize it with the Virgo concept. Um, okay, so Saturday, September 24th, the moon meets Venus, which is really nice. It's later at night. Um, and then it meets Mercury. So I would say this is going to be a time of clarity and insight as well, both of those things. And then Mercury comes into at the new moon in Libra. Mercury and Venus will be pretty much trine to Pluto. And that's super empowerment, super, super, super empowering. At the same time of the new moon in Libra, and I need to save this for new moon in Libra talk, but I want to tell you Mars will be trine Saturn and we can get some stuff done in reality, baby. I'm real excited about this next moon phase. So that takes care of the next 2 weeks. I hope you guys were able to follow me. New formats. That's what I'm trying to do, new things and such and so on. So The rising sign delineations will be, posted separately. Click on your rising sign. You can also use it for your sun sign. Some people even like to do it for their moon sign. But yeah, either way, they will be there for you. Thank you so much for watching. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the flip side. Ecstaticastrology.com. Book a session with me. I would love to talk to you and learn your story. Bye, y'all.